title of this video, men are refusing to let women live with them as women struggle. I have a few thoughts on this, but let's jump into the video. We'll get into it.
As if things couldn't get any worse for the women.
It got worse.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's about to get worse. Oh! It got worse. It got worse.
Men keep coming through exposing just how well they are doing alone, while the women are the ones struggling, right? The women are the ones with all of the concerns, that are struggling to pay bills, that are just trying to cope and get by. And it's almost insult to injury seeing a lot of these men, young men too, okay? Might I add that the young men are even flourishing. It's almost an insult to injury to see men in general from all different ages and backgrounds pretty much vocalize and show that, yeah, I'm okay. I'm figuring life out and I'm doing a damn good job at it. And no, I don't want a woman. And if I do get a woman, she can't live with me. What?
A lot of guys focusing on themselves, man. A lot of guys are making sure they have their empire built. I wouldn't say, I'm sure, like she said, there are a lot of men who, don't want women to live with them. And there, of course, I've seen some in the comments, and we'll get to those too. There are some men that, would want to go their whole life not wanting to share a house with somebody, which is a different conversation. But yeah, I mean, that's what we're moving towards with some people. But I've been told many times by people who are, in their, whether it's their 40s, 50s, or even older, your 20s is the time to grind. Their 20s are the moment where you have the most energy and you have an opportunity to figure out what you like and what you don't like. And a lot of times there are so many different distractions, including women, depending on the woman that you surround yourself with, that can be distractions for you. And it can get crazy, man. It can really get crazy. And before you know it, 2, 3 years, 4 years pass by, and you're like, dang, what if I haven't built anything? I haven't been productive in any of these years. What's going on? And it can get crazy, man. Fortunately, I haven't found myself in that position. I have had many opportunities, especially going through college and, being able to be involved in parties and kickbacks, all those kind of things. And you get to experience a little bit of that, but it's a balance like anything else. And like I said, going back to the statement of your 20s being that time to build, I feel like, and I'm pretty sure, because I've heard it, that is part of what is fueling this state of, hey man, I'm young, I got some money now, I want to build something for myself before I start looking to, getting involved with a woman and possibly building a family, all sorts of stuff, man.
Before I start sharing my screen and everything, I want you all to answer me this, okay? And y'all like the video, share the video, and subscribe, okay? Put a 2 in the chat if you are the type of man that if you found a good quality woman, you would not even still want her to live with you. Put a 2 if it's like, yeah.
If you're thinking about marrying her, I would 100% sure want to see what the life is like living with this other individual. And even when we talk about the topic of marriage, I mean, I have my own specific opinions on that. But yeah, if you're looking to spend the rest of your life with somebody, I would 100% want to see what it's like living with this person on a day-to-day basis. Otherwise, you signing up for stuff that you're still unaware of certain factors that may blow up in your face once you've already signed the dotted line. And again, I'm not even, like I said, I have my own opinions when it comes to marriage and, working with the government and getting certain people involved. But yeah, you want to make sure every single thing is something you are aware of in most cases before you make a decision to say, hey, I want to live the rest of my life with this person, because it could be one thing that you didn't notice that ends up being a deal breaker or just destroying everything, man. I've seen it gets crazy, man.
Come together, live under one roof, and share resources. Y'all let me know. But a lot of the men that I am starting to see are okay with living separately, even within a relationship, I guess. I don't know. This was mind-blowing to me. This is very new for me, but I would love to get the men's perspective on that and why.
All right, bro. I'm gonna stop you in a moment, but if it's where it's, you just dating, then yeah, bro, you're not living. Nah, for me, where my point of view is on that, we keep our own separate places, man. If we're dating, nah, because I enjoy my space. I enjoy my space, man. Seriously. But again, that's just me. But I'm gonna stop yapping, bro. I'm gonna stop yapping.
If they are the type of guy that would rather live separately, why is it that they would prefer that over just coming together? You would think that just combining everything would make things a little bit more simple, but maybe y'all know something that I don't. Y'all let me know. But yeah, when I came across this clip here, you all, I said, wow, this is interesting. So this guy here is saying, under no circumstances will he ever let a woman live with him. He does not care how much he loves her. He does not care about their relationship status. He does not care how bad she is suffering and struggling. You stay over there and I'll stay over here. Point blank, period. All right, but let's run this clip and break some things down because it's a lot that we have to show today. All right, and again, y'all get the likes up.
Would never let a woman come live with you.
No, never.
What?
No.
Like, even if you loved her, what if she didn't have nowhere to go?
They got shelter. She can, take a shower at my shit.
Wait a minute.
I'm telling you, because you gotta understand.
So the one that you fucking with, and she don't got nowhere to go, you gonna tell her to go to the shelter?
She better call her sister or something. No, we're not doing that.
This is insane.
I'm telling you, y'all, living with somebody, I've seen friendships end, relationships, family. I've seen relationships go to hell by living with somebody. Literally, motherfuckers had 10, 15, 20-year friendships, lived with each other for a year. They never spoke again. Living with somebody is a totally different ballpark, a totally different beast.
Facts. Facts, bro. I love my space. I'm telling you, I love my space. Can't even describe it, man. But yeah, he's speaking facts.
I agree.
I don't encourage that shit on nobody.
Now, I do agree with that, right? So once you live with somebody, you're able to see everything about them. You're able to
That's what I was saying.
see if there's somebody that is tidy, somebody that is messy. You're able to see their patterns throughout the day, what their interests are, what their hobbies and habits are. So it reveals a lot. And that is why, in my opinion, especially if you are looking to get married, I do encourage you all to live together first. And I know that can be sticky and tricky for a lot of women because it's like a trap for a man to string you along and never marry you and all of that because he feels like, oh, well, we're already together, so what's the point? But I'm telling y'all, you would do each other a favor by at least living together for, let's say, a year or two before actually making things official in the marriage department, because like he said, it reveals so much and you'll be able to see if this is somebody that you really can see yourself spending the rest of your life with or not. And it won't take long. All you need is a solid maybe 3 to 6 months to really see how this person is. And yeah, but
Yeah, I would say I stand on that too. If you marrying somebody, you want to spend the rest of your life. And again, everybody has their different thoughts on that, but the majority, and I stand on the majority when it comes on this topic, you'd want to live with them. If there's somebody you want to live and see for the rest of your life, you want to live with them. On the topic of sharing your expenses or sharing your savings and all of those on the subject of that specifically, I would say you have your own, but she also has her own, and then you have a savings account, or you have an account that you guys share. I would say that would be my approach with that, where that's concerned. Some people, again, they would disagree. They say, nah, we have to share everything. Hey, look, if that's the approach you want to take, then it's not going to work out. Cut it off right there. Or we come to some sort of, I don't even think there's any compromise with that. Either we do it, those are one of those non-negotiable stuff. So my stance on that is, we have our own money, and then we have an account that we share. We share our expense. We share our income in some sort of way, but we have our own separate stuff. And again, That's how my approach would be. I was about to get into like the prenup stuff, but yeah, I have my thoughts on that.
Coming together, starting our family together, living under one roof with our children, you know, and kind of having a smooth sailing ship, one band, one sound, right? So I disagree with that. But as far as having separate things, I don't see an issue with that, you know? Even if you do share joint accounts in one regard, I don't find an issue with a husband having his own account and a wife having her own account, you know, and maybe they have a joint savings account somewhere, you know, but I agree with that. As far as separate vehicles, agree with that as well, because hey, you got things to do, I got things to do. So yeah, sharing a car, in my opinion, out of the question, not going to do that. And what else did he say? He said separate houses, separate vehicles, separate bank accounts. I think that pretty much covers it. And y'all let me know again, do you agree with that? Do you disagree? Or do you feel like don't even have a joint savings account whatsoever? You know what I mean? Like, for example,
what's yours is yours, what's hers is hers. What you want to share, you discuss that and have that set up prior to putting a ring or prior to making it official. If you're going the route of, you know, signing documents and the prenup and whatever. But yeah, that kind of stuff should be discussed prior, man. That kind of stuff should be discussed prior. My stance is we all have our own separate money, and then what we want to come and share, that can be discussed on what that would be.
Maybe we live in a different time to where husbands and wives are living in different apartments, in different homes, and I don't know. That is new to me. Okay, but y'all let me know. Y'all sound out in the comments, and we're gonna get the conversation flowing and going. But let's continue.
Anytime you see a video of a person who lives alone talking about how much they like living alone, they don't tell you that when you live alone, you also have like a fear of something happening to you in your apartment or your place, and it taking days for people to figure out that something's wrong. Like, people would have to do a wellness check to come and see if I'm good if I stop answering the phone. You essentially have to either depend on somebody that's close to you, calling the police and the police actually showing up, or one of your neighbors being attentive enough to see that you haven't moved your car or that they haven't heard from you.
Now, I'm going to be honest with this. I think this is maybe a female concern. All right, I don't think that men are sitting around like,
if it's my time, bro, it's my time. I would say, hey, depending on obviously the situation, you gonna fight. But yeah, I've lived alone temporarily on multiple occasions prior to, you know, where I am right now, and I would never say at any point I was saying, hey man, you know, I'm worried about living on my own. I'm worried about if somebody's not here for me, what's gonna happen? Like what happens if this situation? I'm not worried about that, bro. If something happens and it's outside of my control, then you adapt, you figure it out, you handle your business. But if it's outside of your control, I mean, what are you gonna do, man? If it's something you can control, something that you have some sort of say in or something you can do about it, then hey, do what you gotta do. But I've never, in the times I've lived alone, I've never had to deal with thoughts like that. So, but again, that's me. And she's saying the same thing. But maybe there are guys who thinks like that. I don't know.
Well, I think that's where we kind of differ when it comes to this conversation. She's talking about how when it comes to women, we may have certain concerns when it comes to being by ourselves. We're thinking about who's going to look out for me, who's going to protect me, who's going to make sure I'm okay. Men, they have that under control for themselves. Like, well, I'm good. As long as I got the strap, as long as I got my finances together, as long as I'm making sure that my life is in order, hey, it is what it is. Whatever happens, happens. But from the female point of view, we are the ones that are constantly in that mode of trying to figure out, how can I make sure that I'm secure? How can I make sure that I'm safe? So you may be speaking for yourself, baby girl, especially when this is the reality of a lot of the men that are living alone.
Can we sit down? No interruptions. Open dialogue without judging. Dope discussions. Yeah. Dope discussions. Yeah. Talking real raw. Ain't no cutting. Open dialogue without judging. Dope discussions. Yeah. Dope discussions. Can we talk about it? Yeah. Can we talk about it? Yeah. Can we talk about it? Yeah.
I had someone ask me the other day, if I was dating somebody or if I had a girlfriend or, was seeing anybody. I said no, and shockingly, they were surprised. They're asking me like, why aren't you dating anybody? Why aren't you going out and meeting girls and stuff? And I just told them I just like being alone. I like being in my own space. I like being just doing things on my own. And it's not that like...
Yeah, man, we trying to... At this stage in your life, I'm assuming that this guy is no older than 30, man. And if no older than 30 or maybe is younger, early 30s. At that stage, you're trying to figure out what it is, who you are, man. And a lot of times, if a girl comes along, the mindset I've always had is if a girl comes along on the way, cool. If it makes sense, we'll see where it goes. But I am not overextending myself for no female right now, my G. I'm not doing that because I have a certain vision of where I want to be before I start looking for another partner to share this life with. So I'm not worried about another female and trying to, go on a bunch of dates and stuff. Outside of experience and, getting to know people, you're not trying to get too involved with somebody when you don't even have your own life together. I've always grown up around others who have made that emphasis on making sure you have yours before you start worrying about bringing another person into your life. Now, a lot of times too, that's not always the case. Sometimes you might meet somebody along the way and hey, if that's somebody you feel like, hey, I might have found somebody who, could work out, then, you adapt like anything else and you start scheduling your time properly. You don't just drop everything else and forget what your original mission was or whatever your original plan was. And then 20 years later, you're asking yourself what happened, because people will do that too. So yeah, man, I think the priority should always be you figuring out who you are and what you want to do with yourself first before you start figuring out what your dating life is going to be looking like. Because again, people many times try to fill a gap that is a lot of times something that they need to fill themselves. And I've seen it many times. I've seen it enough times to know that you should come complete and feel happy within yourself before you start looking for somebody else, because that person is not going to complete whatever it is that you feel like you're lacking. So finding yourself first is the top priority, and that's how I've always felt should be the approach. That's how I've approached it. See, this guy's doing the same thing, the guy before, same stuff. So that's how it goes.
I'm not willing to go out and meet new people. Obviously, I'm going to put in the effort and plus in someone that I care about, but it's not my priority right now. But I feel no rush for it. I'm just kind of living life the way I want it right now, trying to go on the path that I want to go on. And if someone cool comes around, I'll happily put in the effort.
Ouch. Like the men, the young men even, are okay being by themselves, y'all. They're not having the same issues and concerns as the women are. It's like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But
bro was cooking, bro was cleaning, bro was driving to his job or wherever he was going to the gym. He had his stuff set up. When you bring in another individual, things just get crazy, man. Honestly, we can end the video right there. You can understand why some people, while men are the focus here, but you can understand by just seeing this why men would not want to introduce another, possibly a liability into their life when there's no need to. We're enjoying life, we're figuring things out, we're figuring out what we want to do, we're building systems, if you're having a business, that's going to bring you the income you want before you start worrying about another individual, possibly multiple individuals, if you start to build a family with this person. I have zero interest, bro, in trying to push along the societal norm of, building a family when you start making a specific amount of income and then doing all these things that society is saying you're supposed to be doing at a specific age. Run your race, The way I look at it is run your race, spend a specific amount of time in your younger years to figure out what it is you want to do and how you want to live your life. And once you have an understanding of who you are and what you want to do with yourself, then at that point, when you feel complete, you feel like you understand who you are, then it makes sense to bring somebody in, because now you know what you're looking for, what you don't like, and it becomes an easier process. That's how I've been told. That's how I'm going off of a lot of relationships. That's what I've seen. And again, this is kind of leading back to the topic of the video. That's why a lot of men, at least from what I've seen and what I've heard, want to not bring another person into their house. I'm fine by myself. I'm enjoying my freedom, and I'm enjoying what it is that I built. So that's how it is, man. But yeah, y'all let me know what you feel like below. Am I wrong? Do I not know what I'm talking about? Is this video just one of those, things that aren't as common, or whatever it is, man? Let me know below.